Hey everybody, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary, revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom I'm starting with the Cancer full moon. So I'm starting recording this prior to, and when it is edited and uploaded, it may be during the full moon time, but I'm starting it now. So January 5th, all the way through next week or next Sunday, with January 15th being that kind of bookend date. But I'm going to put some other pins on the map as well. First of all, let me just say Happy New Year, happy holidays. I hope everybody had a great time. I want to start this video with a bit of a theme as well as to what seems to show up for us. You know, it's interesting. I was talking with my boyfriend the other day, and we were like, you know, there is just, this doesn't feel like a new year with the change of the calendar and all of that. It just seemed like another day. And I'm hearing that from a few of you as well as we've connected. And the interesting thing for me is that I'm going back to the biorhythms of the human spirit, the nature that we are all made of, and how the winter time is not a time for us to push. It's a time for planning. It's a time for having some introspection, for moving with a little bit more grace, a little bit more ease, if you will, but in a very grounded way, in a way that says, I want to look ahead and plan and see if the things in my life that are serving me are still in place. And if they're not, I need to do some things to shore them up. And maybe there's some wasted time that I have added into my day, into my life, that I can start sloughing off. Where am I wasting time that just doesn't serve me? It doesn't serve the visions that I may have put in place in back, say, in December, that sort of thing. But we look at the biorhythms of the human spirit and nature, and wintertime, again, when we look at these cycles, wintertime is not a time for this, you know, I've got to get all this done, you know. And I think of that with the new year and people making resolutions or picking words, which I'm all about. I mean, if that's what you need, that's great. At the same time, it's not a time necessarily for executing them all. It's a time for getting everything together so that it's a slow and steady process. Now, some of the astrological things that we can point to during this time is we have Mercury retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. And we still have Mars retrograde, which it will go direct next week, yay, on the 12th. So I know many of you are feeling some of those effects, especially if you are in Aries or Scorpio or have a pretty heavy emphasis of those two, because Mars rules both of those signs. And we have, of course, Mercury. Everybody goes into this state of panic because it's like, oh, great, all my electronics are going wrong and everything can happen, that, you know, it's all this trickster energy. Well, I mean, some of that is true. Like, I had a little nick in my windshield, and all of a sudden, with the weather here in Reno, we've had extreme snowstorms, which is great for skiing. Not so great if you're trying to get around, and not so great for my windshield, because that little nick in my windshield is now spiderwebbed. So got to get that fixed. So that is very applicable to Mercury retrograde. Mercury rules transportation, communication. It's how information is moved, how it gets shared, how we move people, bodies, systems, things like that, objects, right? And so a car is associated with Mercury. And so this is just one thing. It's like, great, now I have to, you know, call insurance and get it taken care of and all that pain in the ass stuff that happens, right? So that's one of my Mercury retrograde examples. Another thing that happened was to my car as well. So I won't go into all those details in this video, because I'm sure you could share some of your stories. I'd love to hear them. But I will say this particular Mercury retrograde feels a little gentler to me, in the sense that things may show up like my, you know, phone system goes out, or my for instance, power went out because of the storm, things we can't control. So you make the best of it. And, you know, you get resourceful. And I feel like this Mercury retrograde is a resourceful retrograde. So if something shows up as a trickster or goes wrong, we find ways in which we can have other resources. I'll give another example just because I think it's more interesting if you guys get a little bit of a story here. But New Year's Eve, power went out. And so instead of, us sitting around mouth breathing with each other, I grabbed my laptop, plugged it into the car so it would stay charged, tethered it to my phone, and we were able to watch football and just, have a fun, it was a little chilly, but a fun New Year's Eve night. We didn't do much of anything, but, it's just one of those things. So you get resourceful and you find ways to make the best of what is thrown at you. Now, we also had a planet move into another sign the other day. It was Venus moving into Aquarius. When Venus is in Aquarius, we are more attracted and we give off this bit of intellectual and unusual energy, and we're looking for ways in which we can change the world or change the way we express our love. We give and receive through unusual or out of the box thinking. So this is a great time for creativity to show up if you feel like things have been a little stagnant, if you're looking for inspiration or you're looking for ideas that might move or progress a relationship forward, or you're looking for ways to progress your finances, your financial system that goes back to planning, then this is a great energy to use for that. Also, we want a lot of freedom in our relationships during this time. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to open up your committed relationship unless that's something that you choose. But this is a time where you get to say, you do your thing, I'll do mine. And then we come back together, we compare notes and we share stories. And it's so much fun to do things like that. So use this time as an opportunity to feel that hopefully really grounded sense of, I trust myself, I know who I am, I don't need somebody else's love to validate the love that I am. Now I'm going to go do my thing and then come back and share it. Our friends are going to be really important during this time, how we connect with others, and being able to have just some lighter, fun energy. Now, the other thing with Venus and Aquarius is a fixed sign, so it gets very fixed on its ideas. It really prides itself in being smart about things. And I don't just mean smart as in book smart, but that common sense, that intelligence of like, if you didn't see the bigger picture, I'm not sure what's wrong with you kind of thing. So we do want to watch out. That's the shadow side of Venus and Aquarius. It can bring out some judgment and it can bring out some rebellion if there's things that we don't like within our relationships or our finances that maybe we don't need to be rebelling against. So take your time here and really give yourself the permission to go and have that freedom and do your thing. But if you are in a committed relationship or you're in a work relationship or anything that another person or group might be affected in some way by your actions or decisions, communicate that. I realize Mercury retrograde does create a bit of confusion with communication. However, like I say, with this particular Mercury retrograde, it doesn't feel like it's so much about communication as much as it's about physical, tangible, resourceful things, because it's in the earth sign of Capricorn and wants to get things done. One other thing I'll point out with Mercury retrograde, and this is where I'll point to the Cancer full moon, which is starting tomorrow. Well, I'm recording this on the 4th, but starts tomorrow on the 5th, and it moves all the way through into the weekend. The moon is going to stay in Cancer all the way through Saturday. It becomes full on Friday, the 6th. But we're going to feel the effects of this. And so here we've got the sun in Capricorn, the full moon in Cancer, and they're standing opposite of the sky and they're talking to each other and they're having this conversation that says, I have all these roots, all these things in my emotional body, all my experiences that have shaped who I am right now. And what no longer serves me, what emotions or what's something I have been attached to or stuck to that doesn't work for me anymore, that's not useful. Because Capricorn likes to have usefulness and it does have that shadow side of being a user, but at the same time, it also can create a lot of reliability and success and gain for us if we can use it in a positive way to be able to say, I'll help you. This is the value I have, the resources, the gifts, the talents, and you can use them. I give them freely. And then what I need from you is I need that stability or that security, or I need to have more connection in my life, things like that. And so this is a good time for us to use the energy in the next few days to release the past. And this is where Mercury retrograde also complements. We can wrap things up from the past that maybe there was a lingering relationship that you were holding on to and it just doesn't, it's done. It's over. It's dead. Just let it go. But it was took so long to do. It's time now to wrap that up and to say, bless you. Let's just be friends, or let's move on. The end. It's also, this particular Cancer full moon could have you being a little more generous with the way and you communicate your emotional body, your feelings towards others, and those that are enhancing your life. And I will say too that this full moon could bring in a little bit of a I spent too much during the holidays. I mean, it's very typical of January. It's like, I don't want to spend anything because now I'm feeling financially shaky about things. So I'm going to hide. I'm going to put my shell on like a crab, and I'm just going to go inside and not spend money. I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to hunker down and really be at home. Homebodiness is a big thing during this coming weekend. If that's something that you're either forced into by circumstances, or you just feel like, I'm going to binge watch, Yellowstone, whatever, and just have a good time. The other thing that I'll point out is that Monday, January 9th, Venus, being in Aquarius, as I mentioned, is going to make a trine to Mars, who's still retrograde at this time, to Mars in Gemini. And so this could have us communicating pretty easily, naturally, our ideas, our thoughts and feelings, the experiences that we have around what we've gone through over the holidays, or where we want to go. Maybe we took some time beforehand to plan out the next couple of weeks, months, even year ahead, and now we're ready to communicate that with some with those that are closest to us. It's not a great time to release new projects yet. I would wait and stay a little bit more underground, or hold your cards close to your chest with Mars being retrograde in Gemini. It does go direct January 12th, but we're not going to get out of the shadow for another couple weeks. So if you can, keep some things, close to your chest. If you are wanting to share it, you're wanting to release something, maybe do a beta test or a small group, that sort of thing. Local connections, local travel. I do sense too that we're going to have a little bit of a wreak of havoc, if you will, around the weather and things like that, continuing over the next couple of weeks. And that impacts travels, especially if you're working, coming back to work in the office when we've been at home, things like that. I can sense a lot more people are going to be returning to an office. It'll look a little different with Venus being in Aquarius, which is kind of nice. That hybrid role will continue. But I think there's going to be a lot more focus that starts to show up also with the inclusion and diversity, and really getting leadership to embody that and to embrace it. And there's going to be a lot more training involved, and a lot more information out there that can give us more of that focus, and be able to give us the tools that we need to create more inclusivity, more belonging and diversity, which are important as we continue into this age of Aquarius that we're in. And also keep in mind, Pluto is going to be exiting the sign of Capricorn, where it's been sitting for several years. It's going to be leaving this year. So we're going to be in those last moments of this very big, tumultuous energy around institutions and government, and the things that Capricorn embodies. And we're going to be moving into ways in which we can transform our systems, and we can transform the groups, and the way that we connect as humanity, and how we help each other out. So I'm very interested to see how this energy is going to support and redirect our minds. And that's where a lot of this is also going to go, is we're going to find a lot more emphasis on our mental health, as well as how we use our minds, realizing that the mind is a powerful tool or a weapon. Now, I mentioned Mars going direct in Gemini. Activities and schedules and connections and communication and learning and all these things, I feel will still take a little bit of time. So don't get overly excited on the 12th, because of Mercury still being retrograde until the 18th. And like I say, Mars is in shadow, but we should see some momentum going. So if you've been waiting on some communication, whether it's an approval of a loan or a house, or it's that promotion, or you need to do reviews or whatever, all of that's going to start to shake loose again and start moving. And one other honorable mention for this coming week is Friday the 13th. And I love Friday the 13th. And part of the reason I give this an honorable mention is because I find this to be a magical day. The 13th is to me, a day filled with music and magic and musing. And I think of the MU words, and I also feel as though this is the chance. If you didn't do a vision board, I know a lot of people like doing a vision board on the New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I prefer to pick a magical day to do it. And this would be one of my favorite magical days, especially because the moon is in Libra. And so we're going to be having this feeling of, I want relationship, I want balance, I want fairness to color my world. If I could have a magic wand and create whatever world in my life I would want, the ideal thing. And you can do a vision board for your life in general. You can do it for specific areas of your life. But if I had this magic wand, what would I create? And so I offer that. If you are somebody who likes vision boards, which I am, and I have to make one yet this year, this is the perfect time to do it. So that's the invitation, is to join me for that. And then we move into the weekend on the 14th and 15th. Not a lot of heavy activity or planetary movement, but what we do have to look forward to, again, is the coming week is going to be Mercury moving direct or stationing direct, and then moving forward in the sign of Capricorn, and then moving on to Aquarius. And then we also have Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius, and it stations direct on the 22nd. So we've got some of the planets moving out of their retrograde motion back into forward motion. So then we can start feeling like we can execute and push some of the things we've been planning for over the last week or two. So just to kind of wrap this one up, if you're still watching, I know this is a long video, but it's been a couple weeks since I've been with you. So I appreciate it if you're still watching and listening. To wrap this up, this particular full moon in Cancer, it is an emotional one, but remember that our emotions are there to help guide us. They're not here to drive us. So we work with the emotions in a way that says, I can't heal what I don't feel, or something is off. I need to trust that. There's intuitive part here, and your intuition is going to be super heightened during this time. Trust that. If something feels off, don't do it or hesitate. If it feels right and it doesn't make logical sense, and I know Venus and Aquarius is going to try and challenge that one, but go for it. Here's the thing. Keep reminding yourself, make a decision. You can adjust along the way. Try it out. If it doesn't work, then you readjust. Okay. Also, things from the past. This is really emphasized this weekend into next week with Mercury retrograde and this Cancer full moon. Things from the past can get wrapped up. They can come back to be revisited so that we can do them differently. Because remember, we're not the same person. We're not in the same circumstances that we were even yesterday. And trusting yourself. This is another thing that I love so much about the Capricorn energy, is that we're learning how to build greater trust in ourselves over time. So give yourself over to things will take time to manifest, but I can trust that I'm making decisions that I feel, this is the intuitive nature, I feel is best for me and for the situation. All right, you guys, I really hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Come find me at jamiedawn.com. There are some new things that I am going to be producing in the next year. Stay tuned. I'm going to take my own advice with Mars being retrograde in Gemini. I'm keeping it a little quiet for now, but I promise you there will be more videos. There will be even, I'll give you a couple of pins on the map. There's talk or entertaining an idea of a podcast and getting back into that. Also getting more of the writing done, because some of you who follow me for a while know that I was doing a blog for a while and I've stopped doing that. It's just, I'm regrouping and looking at other ways in which I can be of service to you, because that's my great desire. All right, you guys, I hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and come find me. And just know how loved and adored you are. All right, take care, everybody.